It's your first time reselling, or maybe you're a seasoned pro. Either way, I'm going to show you exactly how to find your first item to sell and turn it into a repeatable process that earns you real money. So how do we do this? The first step is to go sourcing. Sourcing is just a fancy word for finding items to sell, whether at your own house, online, a sale, or in public. Here are 5 of the best places to find cheap items to flip when you're starting out. Number 1, your house. This one seems obvious, but if you have old items at your house that you don't need anymore and they're just collecting dust, sell them. Number 2, thrift stores. People drop off hundreds of perfectly good products at secondhand stores every week. Thrift stores have an endless supply of random stuff, and no 2 stores are ever the same, which is in your favor as a reseller. I'd recommend going to all the thrift stores in your area to get an idea of what each one sells and how they price things. Number 3, garage sales and yard sales. If it's summertime or you live somewhere warm, garage sale season may be in full swing. In that case, you can find garage sales in Facebook groups, driving around on the weekend, or by asking people you know who go to them frequently. I love garage sales because most of the time people just want their stuff gone. You can get especially good deals here if you buy items in a bundle. Number 4, flea markets. You can do a quick Google search to find flea markets in your area. Flea markets are like a collection of yard sales that happen in one spot. They happen frequently and are a solid way to consistently find cheap goods. Number 5, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and other online marketplaces. This is a great place to start as a reseller because you don't even need to leave your house. And there isn't much competition since the listings are local to where you live. Look for people selling in bulk to find the best deals. And keep in mind, the art of negotiation can help out a lot online and in person. In flipping, you make money when you buy. This is a phrase I heard when I first started reselling, and I didn't understand it at first, but now I realize how wise it is. Essentially, what this phrase means is you only make money flipping if you buy something for a great deal. The biggest mistake that new resellers make when buying stuff is buying a good item at a bad price and buying a bad item for a good price. Let's break this down. What does it mean to buy a good item? A good item is an item which sells consistently. In other words, this is an item which people are actively buying online. I'll explain later how you can find these items. Now, what does it mean to buy an item at a good price? A good price is when the item is priced below what this item commonly sells for online. Resellers call this the market value. This is the price that people are realistically willing to pay for an item. The thing is, value in used products is slightly different than value in new products. When you want to buy something new, it generally has an accepted price. For example, if you go to Walmart, you can get a water bottle for $20. Generally speaking, no matter where you go, that water bottle will be $20. But for used stuff, pricing isn't so straightforward. There's no official or set value for a used product. The value of used goods is determined by its condition and what people are willing to pay for it. This is very important to understand because part of your job as a reseller is to get good at understanding how much something is truly worth. How much are people actually willing to pay for an item? I often see people make the mistake of thinking that just because something is listed on eBay for $500, that means that it's worth $500. Actively listed products are not an accurate measure of an item's value. I can list my used toilet paper for $1,000 on eBay, but that doesn't mean it's worth that much. When you're trying to determine the value of a product, you need to look at how much it is actually sold for. If you search something on eBay, all the results you see are active listings. These are important, but not what you want to see if you are looking to know how much something is actually worth. Instead, when you search something on eBay, you are going to want to go into the search filters and select the check for sold items. This will update the results to show you items which have actually sold on eBay. Resellers will refer to this as sold comps. This means comparable sold items, or in other words, items that have sold that are comparable what you might sell. This is a much better way to know what something is worth. Along with an accurate value of what something is worth, you also need to know how often it sells. Sell-through rate is one of the best metrics to determine if a product sells often. Sell-through rate is looking at how many of this product are currently listed versus how many have sold in a recent period, such as the last 90 days. Sell-through rate is calculated as number of sold listings over number of sold listings plus number of active listings. Calculating sell-through can be complicated, but what's most important is that you understand that it is a measure of how often something sells in relation to how many people are selling it. If there are a ton of active listings but not many sold listings, that means your product will have a lot of competition and is not likely to sell. Aim for items that have a sell-through rate over 35%. Remember to also look at how many times this item is sold in the last 90 days. If it's sold once, it will be a lot harder to sell than if it's sold 30 times. Keep that in mind when looking at the sell-through rate. 2 items can have the same sell-through rate, but one could sell 10 times as often. Don't worry if this seems confusing. I'll show you some tools that calculate all of this for you and make it super simple. As a reseller, your goal is to determine if something is a good item to sell and if you can get it at a good price as quickly as possible. You will come across millions of items that you potentially could resell, but you have to be able to decide which ones are worth your time. So, how do I know if a product is actually worth reselling? In order to make this decision, you need to know two things: how much something is worth and how often it sells. Let me show you 3 different methods for figuring out what something is worth. First, Google Lens. This is probably the most common method because it's easy and fast. If you have the Google app downloaded on your phone, you can tap this icon to do a search by image. This allows you to take a picture of anything, and then Google will try and find similar images on the internet. One thing to remember here is that Google Lens isn't an evaluation tool by itself. It's a search tool. Google won't help you figure out what this item is worth. It will just help you figure out what it is. Sometimes in the results, you'll see websites where this item is being sold. This can give you a vague idea of what something is worth, but it should not be your only means for determining value. The pros of using Google Lens is that it's fast and easy. You can quickly figure out what something is and get a very general idea of an item's new value. The cons of using Google Lens is that it can be very misleading. Google Lens can make you think that something is much more valuable than it actually is. Often in a rush of excitement, someone will search an item that they find on Google Lens and see a website selling it for $500. They buy it only for it to collect dust in their home, as they learn that it was likely only worth a couple of bucks to begin with. Second, the eBay app. This app provides you with information on how much and how often an item sells. You can search an item on the app either by typing in its name, scanning its barcode, or taking a picture. If you are reselling media items, scanning a barcode will be the fastest way to search. Remember to filter your search by sold items so that you can see how much an item is actually selling for. A helpful tip is to hit the lock icon next to it to save your filter so that next time you search something, it shows sold results. For example, most people use eBay for finding sold comps or price comparisons for their items. This means looking up an item and then seeing how many of that item have sold recently. eBay's search by image feature can be helpful if you don't know how to describe what you're wanting to search. But be warned, it's not very good. Unless the item you're searching sells a ton on eBay, you will often get the wrong results. Often people will use Google Lens to figure out the name for an item and then type that name into eBay to see sold listings. Last is Flipper. Flipper is an app that combines the pros of Google Lens with the accurate secondhand product data from eBay and allows you to get that information at 10 times the speed you would from scanning barcodes. All you have to do is take a picture of a shelf or a group of items and it will do all the research for you, telling you the average sold price for that item, how recently it's sold and the sell-through rate, and even giving you a score to know if we should buy it. Using tools like this can give you a massive advantage when you're first starting out. Although you don't need Flipper to resell, I highly recommend it because it will save you so much time finding the right flips and it will save you from making mistakes buying the wrong stuff. Flipper will simplify all of the purchasing decisions into one number called the Flipper score, which is a number on a scale from 1 to 10. The higher the number, the better the potential flip. If you're just starting out, I recommend looking at the item price and the Flipper score. That will tell you everything you need to know. I'd keep an eye out for items that have a Flipper score over 6. You can use the profit calculator in the Flipper app to see how much you can buy a product for in order to make your desired profit. Aim to make at least 30% profit on every item when you first start out. Experienced resellers can do well with lower margins, but you want to start as high as possible. Keep in mind that there may be a shipping cost when you sell an item, and fees from other platforms will eat away at your profit. Flipper will help you take all of that into account. So now you have a way to determine what something is worth and how often it sells. Let's learn the specifics of flipping movies and making real money while doing it. First off, why sell movies? In the age of streaming, you don't see DVDs, VHS, or Blu-rays as often. But surprisingly, this is a booming category for collectors and movie buffs. Because most people view this physical media as dead, they toss out their collections. Yet there are millions of people who will do anything to get that one movie that they had as a kid. In my opinion, this is one of the most overlooked categories in flipping. There are plenty of movies collecting dust at thrift stores that are worth $30, $40, or even up to $100. Second, movies are great to sell because they're easy to find, cheap to ship, and simple to test. You can start by finding movies around your house, in thrift stores, garage sales, and flea markets, which can lead to massive gains and huge profits. In the past, you would need to have extensive movie knowledge to know what something is worth. But in the technology and AI age, the playing field is leveled. You can look up each movie individually on eBay or Amazon, but that takes a while to type each one in. Scanning the barcode on the back is a bit faster, but you still need to do each movie one at a time. I use Flipper, so all I have to do is take a picture of the stack or a shelf of DVDs, and it will identify all of them for me and pull in the information I need to know if it's worth flipping. In terms of where to find movies, I often find shelves and shelves of DVDs at Goodwill, Savers, Salvation Army, or other local thrift stores. These are a great place to source movies because they often will price them at a flat price like $1 per movie or 5 for $3. Thrift stores don't have the time to research every movie they put out on the shelves. This is great because it means we can find movies worth $10, $20, or even $100 or more for $1 each. Other important factors to keep in mind while you're outsourcing movies include the item quality and condition. A DVD may sell for a ton, but it needs to be in mint condition to be worth that much. Does the DVD you're looking at match the description? Flipper will help you with that, but it's not always possible to know everything about the condition from just a photo. For example, some DVD sets are worth a ton when all the DVDs are complete in the box, but you may be looking at a set that has 3 of the 4 DVDs, making it worth less. You can always sell each DVD individually, but you need to determine if that will be worth your investment. Always open the case and make sure it has the right disc. Check the disc for any scratches. A few light scratches could be fine, but if it looks bad, don't risk it. Eventually, you'll test the disc at home to make sure it works properly, but when you're outsourcing, your goal is to rule out the obviously bad DVDs. Along with that is knowing how to sell the DVD. Is it better to ship it out and list it to millions of people on eBay? Or should you sell it locally on Facebook Marketplace and not have to worry about fees and shipping costs? We'll break down how to weigh those trade-offs in a future video. Also, keep in mind that you can usually buy movies cheaper if you buy them in bulk. If you're at a garage sale, find a few cheap ones that are worth reselling and then ask the owner if you can buy all of them with a discount. Chances are that person is just trying to clear out their stuff, and more often than not, they'll give you a discount. You can also get good deals on online marketplaces if the seller needs their stuff gone ASAP. And that's it. Now you're on your way to making your first flip with movies. Good luck, and we'll see you in the next video.